Do you know that sort of people who put a Soviet flag on their page just for fun? Or those who romanticize the Russian KGB and Stalin? Well, here's a story about why that might not be such a great idea. The year is 1929. Picture this, a train chugging its way to Moscow. On board, a Ukrainian writer, Ostap Vyshnya, chugging whiskey. Vyshnya is worried before the conversation with the Central Committee of the Communist Party about strengthening ties between writers of the brotherly nations. One of the topics of the conversation is the creation of a common house for all Ukrainian writers. Yes, you heard it. Tychina, Susyura, Khvylyovy, Kurbas and Tomenko will be neighbors not only on the pages of a Ukrainian school book, but also sharing a building filled with tobacco smoke, ink, and rum.
Johansson, wanna grab a beer?
Sasura, I'm good.
Food more,
Hey, it's 4 in the morning. Are you
Meanwhile, at the chilly Moscow train station, Demyan Biedny and Volodymyr Mayakovsky cross paths with Ukrainian writers. As they gather for the meeting, Ostap Vyshny's nerves are on edge. Why? Well, he's got some explaining to do why the Kharkiv Regional State Administration needs more money for the House of Ukrainian Writers. But just when things couldn't get any tenser, Stalin walks in.
Stalin casually waves his smoking pipe, as if to say, proceed, then settle in at the presidium table. Well, I'm not asking for myself, aren't I? This is for the greater good. Summoning all my courage, I passed a note to the chairman. Stalin's eyes scanned the paper and then he locked his gaze onto me. Hello. When the meeting was over, I returned to the hotel. Suddenly, at 1 a.m. there was a knock on my door. A man with a revolver on his belt was standing on the doorstep.
Are you Ostap Vyshnya?
Yes.
Here is the money for house.
And then he throws a huge bag full of bills right in front of my face.
My God!
Bonjour, je m'appelle Baron Bauhaus, your appartement guru in Kharkiv. Let me show you the hottest property in town, Barachny Lane 9. It's a cute little house in a quiet spot just 5 minutes away from both the grocery store and the nearest psychiatric hospital. Built with top quality materials, has a rooftop solarium for soaking up the sun and a bomb shelter, just in case. A plus, the building itself is shaped like the letter C. The letter C reads like S in Ukrainian, and the popular name among the residents, the Slovo House.
Tichin, I will not name my theater after your book.
But Lessig, it's so poetic!
And what happens when you drop a new one?
Gentlemen, writers, we actually have visitors. Could you please shut the fuck? Where was I? The house is filled with life, performances, poetry readings. In general, it is a cultural center. By the way, there is a garden nearby where you can enjoy wonderful symphony concerts of Ukrainian composers under the open sky. Pavlo Tychina strictly recommends Latoshinsky.
I was so recommended.
Absolutely. Would you like to see the rooms? Volodymyr Sasura, the poet on the second floor, lives life like a true romantic. Students swoon over his love poems, but let me tell you, the Sasura household is like a wrestling ring. No furniture, just them crashing on the floor.
Love is blind, you know.
Once, Volodya with a black eye asked us for bus fare, cause he's too nervous for the tram. Maybe loud noises give him some Civil War flashbacks, I don't know. He even borrowed money from our janitor Akim, to whom he gives his poetry works out of gratitude. But Akim, right in front of us, uses them to light up the pot-belly stove. Volodya's paychecks for his books are probably the biggest among all of us, but he never seems to have any cash on hand. In short, if he comes asking for some, don't borrow.
Oh, see that guy in the window? The one that skates on the icy rain in the dead of night? That's Mykola Khvylyovy, the local Vaplete leader. He's never seen skating during the day. He just stands there for ages, puffing away on the smoke. So, when are you planning to move in?
I'll check!
Attention! Window! Down!
If I had to name the moments I've been the happiest, it's probably the times when Dad took us to the premiere of his play. Khvylyovy always accompanied us. When Dad and Kurbas were called to the stage, Mykola Khvylyovy shouted at the top of his lungs,
Bravo, Kulish! Bravo, Kurbas! Long live the theater! Bravo!
Once I was rushing to school. It was raining and I mercilessly splashed all over the puddles. I got carried away and managed to drench from head to toe a man standing on the corner of the street. Khvylyovy!
Why the rush, little man?
Me? Rushing? But I'm not rushing. rather dragging my poor soul to a math test.
Such hurry for mathematics? How is the study? Soaking it up?
Well, more like the other way round. You know how it goes. If only I knew that this was the last time I saw him, that the very next day... I will never forget. May 13, 1933. Sunny, serene Sunday morning. Suddenly, an unusual commotion broke out in the courtyard of the house. Someone is being led half-conscious, a woman crying, and suddenly...
There's Villowy,
I rush to his floor. Through the half-open door, I see a bent figure behind the desk. It was as if Villowy was merely sleeping, lowering his hands in a tired motion. From the tilted head, just from under the right temple, quietly runs a delicate stream of... blood.
Villowy acted as a hero from a tragic Greek play. He gathered his friends, sang songs, and joked. When they started asking,
What are we doing here?
he declared,
I will show you how an ideal Soviet writer should look like.
then, with his friends' voices as a backdrop, he puts a bullet into his skull. Why? It was a warning. After his friend Ukrainian poet Villowy was arrested, Villowy sensed that to the Soviet authorities, a good Ukrainian writer is a dead one. He even left an ironic suicide note proclaiming,
Long live the Communist Party.
he hoped his friends would flee, hide, and save themselves, but it was too late. The machinery of repression was already in motion. The Slovo House became the biggest trap for Ukrainian culture in all of its history. This building, where many Ukrainian writers lived, was a trap, a maze full of microphones, informants, and spies. Even the C-letter shape of the building was another trick, so that the screams won't be heard from the other side of the building. Never before have the Russians conducted such a thorough plan to obliterate Ukrainian culture as a whole. Kurbas, Kulish, Johansson, Tomenko, Підмогильний Яловий, Epic, Pluzhnik, all these names once resided in the same building, and all of them were executed by the Russians. Even Ostap Vyshnya, who received funding from Stalin to construct the Slovo building, was sentenced to 10 years in the Gulag camps. Do numbers scare you? Can there be anything frightening about a simple set of digits? Well, they terrify us. In 1930, Ukraine had 259 writers. By 1938, only 36 were left. Half of the writers that lived in the Slovo building were executed by the Soviet regime.
It's been years since my last visit to Slovo. It was a fierce and hungry winter of 1942. City lied in ruins, covered in snow, starving. Slovo House stood like an orphan, torn and forgotten by everyone. Without a second thought, I headed to the entrance. There it was, our front door. I knocked. A bundle of scarves and blankets that appeared to be a woman opened it. I explained that I represent the local administration heating control department. The woman kindly let me in. I followed the trail of cold air all the way to my old room. An empty space now. Windows frozen, door damaged. Just when I meant to enter my father's office, the woman protested.
What's your last name?
Kulish. The woman gasped, jumping away as if she's seen a rattlesnake. They moved here before the war. She's been informed that the enemies of the Soviet state lived here. And now, she was breathing the same air with the son of the enemy of the state. I took a look around the office. Memories played in my head. This place used to be furnished. A sofa next to a clear bookcase. A bunch of garlic tiled with blue ribbon hangs near the books behind the glass. That was a gift from Vyshnya. A miniature Japanese doll from Yanovsky. And on the wall hangs a banjo made from an ordinary iron pen. That's from Mykola Khvolyovy. I allow myself one last look around the house. Is this how I'm going to remember it? And suddenly, the greenery of trees, Yard swarming with children. Shining his snow-white hair, theater director Kurbas goes on his regular walk. Підмогильний running somewhere all worried. Volodya Susura contradicting a fresh black eye with the smile. Khvolyovy goes out on the balcony for a smoke. Lights are shining in the windows. Another scandal at Susura's place. Slisarenko takes his huge dog out for a walk, and all living things prefer to immediately take shelter. The moon rises in the sky, and a piano concert pours from the windows of the third floor. It's Tichina playing. Then everything goes quiet. In the old district of Kharkiv, somewhere on the outskirts of the city, on a quiet unpaved street stands the former house of Ukrainian writers. Empty and desolate stands the Slovo House.